Hey Beans, we're back to some conspiracy boys. Today we get a conspiracy from Flippy87776, who wrote me this amazing conspiracy about one of my favorite subjects, or rather two of my favorite subjects, Greely and the Basement of Secrets, which are both huge mysteries that have surrounded Animal Jam ever since their release. They're both very mysterious and interesting and intricate subjects that have a lot of speculation and have a lot of hints pointing towards them and definitely have some sort of lore significance. But it's going to take a big team of people to figure it out. So thank you guys so much for sending in your conspiracies. They're really helping me piece together this lore of Animal Jam. So let's get started. Let's start with the Basement of Secrets. What does it mean and why is it there? So if you don't know, the Basement of Secrets, really quickly, is just this place where you can go. That's this secret little basement that you get by clicking in a special corner of the map, and it's underneath the Lost Temple of Zeus. Bam, there. So if you go down there, there's the special appearance of the basement. It's weird and unlike almost any other room in Animal Jam. It's cluttered, it's cramped, and it has a really strange familiarity to the beta days, if you played in those or know what those look like. So there are a ton of random miscellaneous objects that are lying all around the room, but there's one thing that really sticks out and is quite obvious to anyone who enters the room. On this really kind of well-hidden desk to the left, there's a statue of Greely's beta appearance. Now, this one is really confusing. Why in the world does Greely have a statue there, and where are the other alpha statues? Well, if you actually look, they're upstairs in the Chamber of Knowledge, separate from Greely's special statue that seems to be down here. And even though Greely has a statue up there that seems to be playing some sort of role in the alphas, it's a little farther away, and then he has this other statue that's completely separate from all the other alphas. Well, the only answer that seems really logical is that this room actually belonged to Greely himself. But now the question is, why do you have to click below Appendale to access the Basement of Secrets? Animal Jam could have put it anywhere on the map, or they could have just simply allowed you to go down that trapdoor and added it as a secret room and not told you about it. Be a lot less frustrating to get down there for these videos. So why is it below Appendale? Now, in a recent video, I talked about the Phantom Badlands, a new land that has been leaked from Animal Jam, though there are some theories that it may have been edited. We cannot confirm. It looks ridiculously realistic. But it's right below Appendale, and it's this weird little spooky looking land with like a passageway leading into it, and it looks like a very phantom controlled, swampy, kind of bog-esque land. But what does this have to do with Greely? Let's get back to Greely. This room could have easily been one of Greely's old Phantom research laboratories that he had hidden around Jamal that we learn about in certain adventures like Greely's Inferno and the Search for Greely. They're slightly hinted at, but it's pretty obvious. But there's also more evidence. An excerpt from the official AJ guidebook states that Greely spends most of his time alone and far from Jamal, observing the movements of the Phantoms and sabotaging them from the shadows. Now, let's talk about where in Jamal is the most hidden place in Jamal. That sentence didn't really work. Well, of course, that would be the Basement of Secrets. It's basically the Basement of Secrets. And again, this room has a Greely statue in it. I honestly don't believe that I didn't put this together sooner. So thank you again to this bean for sending this to me. But this is such a good conspiracy. Well, all of these facts seem to point to the fact that this is Greely's room. This hidden, kind of secret, phantom hideout base bean. So why the Temple of Zeus? Well, actually, the question is, why not the Temple of Zeus? No, that's not the question. It's hard to explain. Let me try and explain it. It's actually, Greely has tons of different research laboratories all over Jamal, and it's just that we've only found one. That's also probably why he had to fake his own death and hide out in a volcano, because he's constantly trying to get super close to the Phantoms to try and observe them. And where in Jamal do we get the closest contact with Phantoms, besides Night of the Phantoms and things like that? Well, that would be Lost Temple of Zeus, because when you sleep around the Zeus statue, as I'm sure you know, you get a ton of little phantom boys to rise out of the Zeus statue and come and greet you. So where would it make the most sense for Greely to sit and study? Well, of course, it would be in the Lost Temple of Zeus, where we actually do get first-hand interaction with these phantom boys so that Greely could research them. So Greely's pretty interesting. But what about that strange land, Julian? That sounded really cool, right? There's phantoms and spooky beans all over the place. Well, let's talk about the places where we explore phantom territory. Those will be the new 2D adventures, the Frontlines and the Phantom Badlands, and of course now the Phantom Fortress. And so it seems obvious that in order to get to Greely's laboratory, which is used to study phantoms and is therefore super close to the phantom world, would have to be next to one of the phantom worlds. And the only time that we get this exposure to the phantom world that Greely is looking for is, of course, in those adventures like the Frontlines, the Phantom Badlands, and the Phantom Fortress. So which adventure might lead to Greely's hideout? Well, you're not gonna believe this, but he shows up in the Frontlines, and he plays a very important role. I'm getting so excited about this. He doesn't give himself away. He's very secretive and conservative, as Greely usually is. Instead, you find him in a secret little passageway. So he appears, and he says these exact words. It seems you have a habit of showing up in unexpected places. I don't know if I should be impressed or irritated. And as we all know, AJ has a weird tendency to spell things in caps. But why would AJ capitalize unexpected places? Surely it can't be that important, right? It can. That's why I did the face. That's why my eyebrows were up, because it is important. Unless, what's the one unexpected place in Jamal that we found, that we've just stumbled upon, that we shouldn't have gotten to because the doors were locked above it? That's right, the Basement of Secrets. That is the one hidden place in Jamal that we should not have found, that we ended up finding, that Greely would be upset about us showing up into. I mean, why else would Greely be snooping around underground so close to the Phantom lands, unless he was doing research from his laboratory? And then, of course, where's the adventure base camp? It's in a cave in the Lost Temple of Zeus. So let's visualize this. Here's the cave that leads to Greely's adventures, and here is the hideout. If you go down this cave, you get to the adventures, which are parallel to Greely's hideout, and are all on the same level. Which totally makes sense, because again, Greely is trying to study these Phantom Boys from his hideout in the Lost Temple of Zeus. And of course, the classic line from the sheep Greely, the sheep in the wolf in the sheep's clothing, Greely in the Phantom Fortress, where he says, you know, I'm so annoyed with you, you always show up and ruin my careful months of planning, why do you always have the infiltration, etc, etc. We're super annoying, Greely doesn't like us. But again, Greely said he had months of careful planning on his own, not with the other alphas. And again, where is the one specific example where we see Greely and planning all alone, where all the other alphas are somewhere else? That would be the Basement of Secrets. So where could Greely have developed this super secret plan and then snuck into the Phantom Fortress, Badlands, land of phantoms, without being noticed by the other alphas? That would be the Basement of Secrets, where he's doing his research and entering the Phantom Badlands and learning all these secret, stealthy little tricks about the Phantom Boys for us to use in the future. Hopefully, unless he turns out to be evil. Please don't do that, Greely. And of course, you know how Greely said months of careful planning? Well, guess when the Basement of Secrets was released? A couple months before the Phantom Fortress. Just saying. And of course, there are all these hidden little disguise items, like swords and clothes and kind of things hidden all around the room. So it would totally make sense that Greely had a really good disguise as part of his plan. So I must ask Greely, have you ever tried a disguise? Now, the big question is, does this mean that Greely is evil? Because this has been a thing that a lot of us have been thinking about for a long time, and no one is really sure. Is Greely truly on our side? And if he is, why is he so mysterious, and why does he keep sneaking off into these secret little habitats of his? Well, I think it's kind of like a Severus Snape situation, you know, where you definitely feel like he's evil and working for the enemy, but you also feel like he's working for you, but then you also feel like maybe he's just working for you to help the enemy. So there are a few possibilities. First of all, Greely is on our side, and he's just spying on the Phantoms for us, getting really close to them. But that seems really boring, and it doesn't really fit into Greely's personality totally. Like, yeah, it's stealthy, it's sneaky, but other than that, there's not much to it that's very Greely-esque. What seems more like Greely is that Greely is actually on the Phantom side, and he's spying on us, while pretending to spy on the Phantoms through these secret hideouts, and no one will ever know if he's actually, you know, cheating our system and actually spying on us, because he's in this secret hideout the whole time, and that's why he has to remain so secretive. Or he's working for us, but the Phantoms think he's working for them, and so what he does is he passes on fake information about us to the Phantoms, and then uses the information that he gets from the Phantoms thinking that he's working for them to give to us and really get an inside view of what's going on inside the Phantom world. And that seems like the most likely thing, because that is really what Greely's personality is all about, is backstabbing as many people as possible and just being really annoying overall. This is why Greely is so confusing, but kind of fun to analyze. And one little teeny tiny bonus that the bean who sent me this email wanted me to throw in. It's totally possible that there's some sort of secret passageway between the Basement of Secrets and the Chamber of Knowledge. Obviously, these trapdoors are locked from the top, so Greely couldn't have been sneaking in through there, so there must be some sort of weird secret passageway that Greely is sneaking in through, probably behind that giant stash of clothes and that weird shop. Or maybe Greely is getting in through magic. I don't want to get in there too far. I'm going to do another video on the magic of all the alphas and the heartstones and the phantoms and what all of these things could mean. But it seems as though Greely has some sort of weird magical powers, and of course Greely is a stealth alpha, so it would make sense that Greely's powers has something to do with teleportation or invisibility or getting through locked doors. But anyway, there seems to be something suspicious about how Greely is getting in to this Basement of Secrets and how he's sneaking around and collecting all this research on the Phantoms that everyone else seems unable to do. I mean, they have those giant purple things, and if you get anywhere close to them, they'll attack you. I don't think Greely's much different, and he doesn't seem to be much of a fighter. He's not exactly killing the Phantom Boys like Sir Gilbert is. Rather, he's just sneaking around and taking note, which of course would take some sort of magical power. So I'll leave that one to you guys. So anyways, Beans, thank you so much for watching this little conspiracy. If you guys are enjoying these as much as I am, I cannot wait to read some more. Of course, email all of your beautiful conspiracies to julian2moments@gmail.com. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!